Welcome to the September edition Fire Chiefs video message. This month, back at the seat with me is Pete Perringer, my first guest as we did the two-part show. Pete, welcome back, and thank you for joining me.
It's about time you got me back in here, Chief.
Oh, started with you, now it's time to get you back.
That's right, that's right.
All right, well, the facts are is I'm needing to get more guests. I have a guest lined up for October and a guest lined up for November, but I need other folks to come here and sit in the seat with you. Sit here with me at the table and bring their topics and their components. So I'm going to hit that at the end of the session.
Okay.
But again, looking for more folks to come join me starting in December. We got a lot of community outreach things to talk about today, and since our last video, there have been a lot of activities within the community that have gone on. So you wanted to talk about Arliss and identify the fact about the building explosion there and what occurred on that late night, August the 10th.
Yeah, so certainly, as we know, looking back at it, it was just an incident that we responded to. It was a big incident and a lot going on. But if you take a step back from it and kind of look at, as we've been analyzing things since, this had a huge impact on our community. And we know that in the days that followed the event, a lot happened. This huge shelter operations, donation management, right. The long-term investigation, now the NTSB's in there. But from an operational point of view, this may have been the single most largest incident that we've had since 9/11 or Katrina or something like that. So maybe you could just kind of run through some of the aspects of that are that you found interesting.
And you're right. We address major incidents by building blocks. Execute the basics and put those together, combine them with other basics, and then you can deal with the challenging and the very complex. And no doubt what the folks in the 1st Battalion felt and experienced that night was very complex. Station 16 identifies almost 2 miles away that they felt an explosion. They thought it was a transformer blowing. Moments later, they're dispatched for Piney Branch Road, come around the corner, see basically a 4-story garden apartment building at about 3,000 square feet per floor, heavily involved in fire on multiple levels. Ended up being a 3-alarm fire incident with multiple ladder rescues to be made, a lot of exterior operations, which then transitioned into a gas-fed fire or utility-involved fire situation that had to be managed until that utility could be shut off by Washington Gas. But at the same time, there was a very large mass casualty incident, or an MCI, ongoing. The county police, the citizens started making rescues, getting people gathered out of the building. And that Flower Branch apartment complex has a large number of buildings, a lot of which were directly and then some indirectly impacted. But there was 39 folks transported that night, 3 fire rescue, and then the remaining 36 civilians. Some were transported by county police. The majority of those 33 were transported by fire rescue. We identified that we had roughly 3 EMS task forces there. There was 3 medical ambulance buses. There were over a dozen different transport units there, and the patients went to all regional hospitals, with 33 of those being transported. So the folks in EMS, the engine company that was assigned to be the triage officer to support EMS 1 and all the units that integrated into there, did a great job. Then it transitioned into a major origin and cause investigation, or a major investigation as to what. There was no doubt that there was an explosion that had transpired. There was the evidence on the street that there was a blast that occurred there. Fire Investigations reached out to the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. They made it a national response team call out for the ATF folks, which supported what was effectively a week-long effort on the scene to delayer the building after dealing with very complex structural issues. There was a masonry wall that had to be removed for stability issues. There was a lot of shoring that had to take place to prevent the remaining parts of 8701 from compromising the blast site itself. So that investigation started with the ATF and then transitioned into the National Transportation Safety Board. A lot of folks looked at the NTSB investigation, or the role into NTSB as a quizzical point, well, what are they doing involved in it? This event appears to have occurred prior to the meter. Prior to the meter, it is in a transportation pipeline infrastructure. It's in the gas distribution infrastructure, and that then falls into the NTSB purview of transporting hazardous materials. Thus, NTSB took lead after the ATF identified their believed point of leak, and that's how it transitioned into NTSB. We have 2 staff members that are principal to that investigation now and are participating in the NTSB activities. They will be involved in that for many months. It'll be 9-12 months on common average before NTSB comes out with their findings. You highlighted the shelter. There were 28 apartments directly between 8701 and 8703 that were involved. Those 28 apartments actually resulted in the displacement of 55 families. We made the quick math and anticipated 90 to 100 people to be displaced out of those 2 buildings right off the get-go. Needed a shelter for sure. There was 3 adjacent buildings and 2 buildings further down our list that were impacted by the loss of some utility capabilities for a period of time, which they were also evacuated for a period of time that early Thursday morning. So sheltering was a big deal. Our Office of Emergency Management, the Red Cross, Department of Health and Human Services, and a slew of other organizations jumped into action. The Long Branch Rec Center was right down at the bottom of the street. Got that open extremely quickly, got that in place, and made a good shelter situation right down the street. You mentioned donation management. The Montgomery Housing Partnership is the organization that took the spear on that. As of my last understanding, they had collected about $600,000 in donations and had dispersed those to those families. But receiving tangible donations to the rec center, to the property site, was something that was challenging for those on the scene. So absolutely a very much complex incident. And again, as we've said here before, as we talk about things at the station, as we do lineups, when the bell rings, you don't know what that call will be. Right. That call could be a sick person, that call could be a service call, that call could be an MCI, that call could be a 9/11 style event. So absolutely challenging call that was managed by those folks with the 1st Battalion, the rest of the county, as well as a good support effort from Prince George's County, and turned out very well for the circumstances at hand. Tragically, 7 folks lost their lives, but great job done by all.
Well, you kind of hit on it a little bit, but 28 apartments, 55 families, 150 people displaced for the most part, 40 people transported to the hospital. And then you talked about the investigation that, the ATF came in that night. Next day, the National Response Team came. And of course, a couple things that struck me about it was, first of all, I think it's miraculous that so many people did survive. Neighbors helped neighbors. Police officers made rescues, firefighters made rescues, but I think it's absolutely miraculous at that time of the day of the week, that many people were able to make it out with those, catastrophic conditions that we were faced with. But if you look at initially there were a number of people that were missing, unaccounted for. I believe there were over 100 reports of missing people initially. Right. So that was a tremendous amount of work that had to go on, not to mention fighting the fire and shoring the building up, things like that. So huge effort for a week or so. They were trying to identify people and locate and recover the missing bodies. So ongoing, of course, but it's just miraculous. Tragically, 7 people died, as you mentioned, but miraculous that so many people survived.
Right. And that dovetails, and it talks about the complexity of incidences. Just Sunday past, we remembered the 15-year anniversary of the 9/11 attacks in New York City, Pentagon, and Shanksville. And as I said, and as I reflected myself while at an event on Sunday with some folks that were at the Pentagon with me, We all remember exactly where we were that day in 2001. We all remember what we did or what role we had to play. There was plenty of firefighting effort by folks from Montgomery County at the Pentagon for that first 24 plus hours as that fire burned, and resources were sent down to assist Arlington County just simply for the firefighting effort. There was that early on request for urban search and rescue teams in both Fairfax and Montgomery, being two FEMA teams that are in the DC region, were on site in the early afternoon hours of 9/11, along with the engineering company, the 9/11 engineers from Fort Belvoir, and rescue and operations there continued for 10 more days, and teams from across the country joined us on the lawn at the Pentagon. The just shy of 3,000 deaths during that event, the 6,000 injuries or more, and we all recall and reflect upon the 343 FDNY folks, but the folks that were responders that day, the folks that were occupied those buildings that survived, their coping is continuing and will for many years to come. We know the number is about 130 and growing FDNY folks that have succumbed to their illnesses that they obtained during the work at Ground Zero, and be it American Airlines Flight 11 or United Flight 175 or United Flight 93 to Shanksville or American Flight 77. All of those passengers started their day never anticipating or even thinking of terrorism. After that event, there's been, continues to be, and will, I see for the future to come, a thought of terrorism, and that's something that has changed the fire service and changed our general public's way of life. And it's something that clearly we have to always remember and continue as a part of the history of United States and the fire service.
And I think, and you were there with Kensington on 9/11 on this past or this month.
Sunday, right?
And they have something really unique, I think, to this area, that they have the piece of the Pentagon, a piece of the World Steel from the World Trade Center, and then a memorial garden, rose garden in honor of Shanksville. So it's literally 10 feet from Connecticut Avenue. People drive by it all the time, but it's really a remarkable site and a good tribute and a memorial for the 9/11. So if you have an opportunity, and of course in downtown Rockville they have the memorial garden, 9/11 garden, for the 11 Montgomery County residents that were killed on that day. So it's you look back on that, it's isn't it amazing how much when we look back in your response to the Pentagon, just our communications, our mutual aid agreements, man, we have really changed since then. We have a very robust response capability in the National Capital Region, across the nation for that matter, but it's amazing how much we've been able to change since that day.
Yeah, there's no doubt, and ability to talk is just one of those tools, and that only gets amplified in the upcoming CAD-to-CAD interactions, which will be further enabling interoperability across the regional divides. So we're rolling in, school's in session. It's September. That means we're really starting to kick up into our community outreach and public outreach activities. October is our big one, but what do we have going on in September and October?
Well, before we get into that, I think it's worth mentioning our Summer of Safety initiative,
right,
101
days.
I think it was very successful. We had a lot of information out. Of course, we rolled into the school year with talking about pedestrian safety and back to school. But thanks to everybody who participated, and certainly your support for the summer initiatives. I think that was well received, and a lot of great information was out. But we know that September is National Preparedness Month. So a lot of activities associated with that. There are some community emergency preparedness training events, coordinated by our emergency management group. So those are happening in September. Of course, we're looking forward to October, where there's a number of initiatives taking place. Fire Prevention Week, of course. We stretch that, make that Fire Prevention Month. Do you want me to just go into the...
Well, we talked about in the last days past, change your clocks, change your batteries.
Yeah.
Well, clearly we're not going to be changing our batteries ideally. Our motto is now change your clock, check your battery.
Right.
And with the soon to be on us the 10-year requirement, we clearly want our folks to check their smoke detector operation, but it's not a specific change the battery. This is being coined to the 1010. Explain what 1010 is.
Well, of course, the theme of the National Fire Prevention Week is don't wait, check the date. And we've been phasing in the new law in Montgomery County and the state of Maryland, for that matter, switching over to the 10-year smoke alarm. So you have come up with, and our community outreach folks have this new initiative that we're going to be rolling out, Take 10 on 1010. And again, that the focus is the 10-year smoke alarm battery, but we think that if a family just takes 10 minutes, reviews their safety plan, fire safety plan, looks at their emergency kit, disaster go kit in the event that you need one. But on October 10th, remind people that if you haven't checked the date in your smoke alarm, do so, because
January 1st to 18 is the requirement.
right.
For sure.
So Take 10 on 1010 campaign will be rolling out, and essentially focuses on family emergency plans and checking the smoke alarms and making sure that we are prepared to go into the new law, which is having the 10-year smoke alarm. So, we're looking forward to that. Of course, we know that a lot of our fire stations will be having open house during October, and that information will be available during that time. And in fact, also worth mentioning, we are partnering with Red Cross on October 15th, the week after that, talking about and doing a number of saturation, safety in the neighborhood, if you will, home safety evaluations and so forth. So a lot going on. Most of it focused on home safety plans and smoke alarms, which is what we do every day. But
Right.
Take 10 on 1010.
And like we talked about for our seniors and anybody, if they want a home safety check, all they got to do is call 311 or go to 311, and they can make their request right there. In addition to MC Safe as our website, but 311 is the other means by they can get a home safety check.
That's right.
Set up. Go ahead.
How about, want to switch gears a little bit, talk
Sure.
about some of our capital improvement projects. Of course, we're very excited. Station 18, Glenmont Station is almost ready to hand
It's
the keys
almost.
over. So,
Yep.
and then some other projects, but
So we'll work backwards. October 26th is the date that has been calendared for the ribbon cutting ceremony for Station 18. We anticipate having use and occupancy this week for Station 18. Then furniture will start to be delivered, and IT infrastructure will be set up. Station alerting will be finalized. So give or take about a month from now, the middle of October, is the anticipated transition from Blue Ridge to Georgia and Mason. That date's not set yet, but anytime, all we got to do is decide it'll be today, and the folks will show up at Station 18 Blue Ridge in the morning, move the apparatus and the final parts and pieces up to Georgia and Mason, and then the folks the next day will show up at Georgia and Mason. So middle of October, about a month from now, will be the date we go into service at Georgia and Mason at Station 18. Just half a block south of where they were, and a very nice facility. But again, October 26th, that Wednesday afternoon, is the ribbon cutting ceremony for Station 18. We've got a lot of work ongoing with other stations. Station 25 will be doing ground work starting next summer, Station 35 the summer after. But the other one that's right on the heels of 18 is the new academy. Don't have a date yet. We're calling it middle of October. The middle of October will be when we transition the administrative activities from Great Seneca to Snoffer School. And I use the word administrative activities because the fall class schedule has already started. The firefighting 1, firefighting 2 class has already started up for the year. Those practical skills will remain at Great Seneca Highway throughout the fall semester. So while academics and classroom activities will transition in the latter parts of October to Snoffer School, they'll still be going back on Saturday or going back on Sunday to Great Seneca Highway and doing the hill scenario activities there. So it's going to be a hybrid transition between Great Seneca and Snoffer School, but in the October, early November timeframe, we'll be at Snoffer School. We sent out a thing a little bit earlier. There's a lot of things going on at Snoffer School. There's a lot of activity. Folks just should not stop by. They need to touch base with Chief Adam Jones and former Chief Clemens before going to the site, because a lot of activity is going on, and anything that we do there does distract from getting the facility completed. So sometime in November we should be doing a ribbon cutting ceremony as well for the new academy. But a lot of two good things going on in the next 30 to 45 days for sure.
Yeah, we're very excited, as the community should be, about the training academy. So it's state of the art, and obviously our training academy at Great Seneca has served us well for decades, and we're very excited about moving into that new era and up on Snoffer School. So looking forward to that.
So like I said, looking for some new guests to express interest and come sit in the seat here. I have somebody from the budget section scheduled for next month, and then I have Jim Demopoulos, or otherwise known as Greek, slated for November to come and talk about MCFRS history and some of the information about MCFRS from days gone past, and looking for someone to come join me in December and January and beyond. So if those that are out there have thought about it, talk to those that have already come, realize that it's a very good environment. Bring your questions, bring your topics, and come and join me here for a little bit of time on Wednesday morning, and we'll do this videotaping. So
a great opportunity to talk to you about things going on, and again, just a reminder that only takes 10 minutes on Take 10 on 10/10. So coming up, and looking forward to the October month and fire prevention, and going into the winter season, which is typically our busy fire season.
Alternative heat sources, and then fireplace ashes and chimneys and things that should get more attention by the homeowners that don't.
And leading into that, of course, be prepared, emergency preparedness, take advantage of all the resources that we have available now, and just remember, every day is a holiday.
No, not a holiday. Every day is a day to be out there doing training. Every day is an opportunity to work on those skills and ensure our readiness. As I said, when that bell rings, you don't know if it's going to be a traditional call, a minor call, or a major call. And take the opportunity, as the weather is great, get out there and enjoy the weather, but enjoy your skills and train. Till next time, everyone take care, be safe.